Hi, this is 12 Keys to Freedom, and I thought that I would shed a little bit of clarity on what's going on with the Phil Advice show, all of these black YouTubers that are commenting on the issue. And a big thing that's come up is, can you be pro-black and sleep white? And I'm going to reply from an energetic point of view. When you are looking at their energies, there's no right or wrong, good or bad. What there is this energy going in a direction that you want to go, or is it going in the opposite direction? It's like a recipe. Do you want angel food cake or do you want meatloaf? If you want angel food cake, it doesn't mean the meatloaf is bad or wrong, and vice versa. It just is what it is. If you're wanting to serve dessert, meatloaf is inappropriate. All right, if you're wanting a main course, angel food cake is inappropriate. And so that's what it's about. So I'm going to approach this from the point of, how do the energies align with what it is that you're wanting to create. Okay, so first let me define what I think pro-black is, and if you have a different definition, then you can adjust based on your definition to determine if this supports what you want to create in your life, in your community, in your world, with your people, what have you. So let's look at it this way. We all are multi-dimensional beings. We exist beyond the physical plane. We're sensitive to the environment around us because the environment around us, including ourselves, has a vibrational frequency that's associated with it. And this is a lot of quantum physics. You can look into quantum physics and see how particles are waves and waves are particles, and there's different frequencies, and at different frequencies they exhibit different characteristics. So this is bringing in some of the quantum physics into this whole debate. So look at it this way. We are all at different times, different thoughts, different places. We're resonating a certain vibration or a certain frequency. Our thoughts affect the frequency with which we vibrate in. So when people say, oh, this person is conscious, that person is conscious, when you look at it from an energetic standpoint, what that is a person is vibrating at a higher frequency, so they can see things at a greater perspective. They have the ability to put larger pieces together, understand things at a deeper level, and become less affected by what is going on in the world, because the frequency they are vibrating at is not being affected. They're not vibrating at the frequency of the general world, the general planet, but at a higher frequency. So they're not as affected by that. So they can still maintain their point of view without getting drawn into the drama and the emotion. Okay, that's my definition of being a higher consciousness. So when we apply this to, can you be pro-black and sleep white? Can you be conscious? Well, let me just focus on pro-black and sleep white. Now, my definition of pro-black is that's the number one focus in your life. Not you're in favor of black people, because that has different levels. Okay, it's about being the number one focus. Oh, great. How do I opt out of this presidential emergency alert thing? Okay, anyways. It's about being, having that as the number one focus. That means your number one goal, your number one job, your number one priority is to uplift the black community, is to support the black community out of its mindset that has been programmed into it during slavery times. Okay, during our forefathers' times, our parents, grandparents, and on, and has been passed down generation after generation because it has not been healed. The trauma, the psychological, physical, um, mental, spiritual trauma that has been inflicted on the Black community during those times, because from a white supremacist point of view, it was necessary in order to keep their supremacy with minimal effort. So when you have somebody mentally enslaved, spiritually enslaved, um, emotionally enslaved, then you don't have to put all of the resources into the physical enslavement, because they will enslave themselves physically. So we need to, as a people, deprogram ourselves from that. Understand what happened, understand how it happened, understand the depth of what's happening, and then taking the accountable and responsible actions that need to be taken to deprogram ourselves. Because until that happens, everything that we do moving forward will always have that influence as its core, as its base, as its root. And we can see that how it is manifesting itself in the way we look at ourselves compared to other races, the way we look at our women compared to other races and men compared to other races. So it is imperative that we be able to look at ourselves objectively and not judge it, not say it's right or wrong. It's just, this is where we're at. This is our baseline. What are we going to do about it? And if we're judging it, we can do nothing about it. So that's another conversation that I can have in another date. So that's my definition. Okay, we are pro-Black. You are whatever it takes to be able to raise yourself out of that, deprogram that debilitating mindset, that self-defeating mindset, that disempowered mindset. Deprogram that from our being, and also interested in building back an economy. Now, we had an economy back in the 50s. All right, before integration, we had hotels, we had businesses, we had hospitals, schools, transportation companies, banking institutions. We had all of these things, but because of our mindset, because of our self-loathing, our self-hate, our defeatist mindset, our programming that white was right, white was better, white was the way we wanted to go. Because of that, and that had never been addressed. Now, I want you to think of the depth as to how deep this went. Okay, one, we were willing to give all of that up. We were willing to give up our economic base, our financial security, our educational security, our health security, all of that. We were willing to give all of that up just to be able to be with white people. All right. I want you to think of that. Just to be with people who did not want to be with us. Now, they made it very, 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 very clear that they didn't want to be with us. They made it very clear that they had wanted nothing to do with us. You can look at the marches and what they did at the marches. They weren't bringing flowers and cookies and cakes and shaking our hand or anything like that, saying, "Yay, yeah, we love you." They weren't saying anything like that. They were being very clear about their intentions. And that's another topic that I can go off into. So, but the bottom line is, so it was not a unknown what we were walking into. Okay, but so we were still willing to give that up. We were still willing to give all of that up just to be around them. So, that's how important it is that we clean up our mindset as we build our economy, because we will just be willing to give it away again. Okay, until that mindset is cleaned up. So again, getting back to that's what I consider, being pro-Black, and whatever it takes to be able to do that, whatever it takes in an accountable, responsible fashion, and unconditional, responsible, accountable, and unconditional fashion, whatever it takes to be able to do that. Now, some of the things that it will take to do that is being able to call yourself out on what you're doing. Being able to call out other people when they are causing you harm, when they are attempting to control and manipulate you, and what damage they have already caused and hold them accountable and responsible, which will make a people who aren't used to that happening extremely uncomfortable. Okay? Now, I mention that because this ties into the next thing about can you be pro-black and sleep white. Now, getting back to the um, energy, frequency, vibration, we are all affected by other people's energy frequencies. Okay, we're affected by other people's auras, what you say, or their energy field that's around them. And you've experienced this whenever you walk into a room and you can feel some tension, okay, or you're around somebody and you don't know why, but you feel uncomfortable around them. All right, you can't explain it. It's because you are affected by their energy field. All right, there's something about that energy field that is rubbing you the wrong way, or you're responding to. And say when you walk into a room, there's it has a certain energy field, that's a conglomeration of everybody that's in there. You walk in and you sense it, you feel it. So other people being around you can affect how you feel without saying anything to you. So when you are married to somebody, all right, in an intimate relationship with that person, their energy field, their thoughts, their beliefs, their fears, all of that is going to be affected and projected onto you. So you will be affected by that. And as being in that kind of relationship, you're going to be open to being affected because you're in a relationship. That's just the natural course of things. That's just what happens. Okay? So, having said that, when you are a black person and you're in a relationship with a white person, you need to understand that in the system of white supremacy, when you're in the systematic white supremacist system, okay, you need to understand that in order for that system to maintain itself, you have to be on the bottom as a black person. That's what it means. So anything that disrupts that is considered a threat. Now, the reason why this system is so pervasive in every aspect of your life, every aspect of our lives, is because when you are operating from fear, and with white people, they have the fear of genetic annihilation. They fear that they will be genetically annihilated. And until they have overcome that fear, it's at a DNA level. So it's more than just a matter of taking some yoga classes, reading some Eckhart Tolle books. This is genetic level. And you have to want to be able to change more than you want life itself. Because we're talking the DNA. You can change your DNA. You absolutely can. Our DNA has been changed from slavery. A lot of stuff that's within us and how we're responding to life is at the DNA level, and that's been programmed into us. Good news is it can be programmed out, but again, you have to want it more than life itself. Now, we have more motivation to change our DNA than white people have to change theirs because they're at the top. They would see not being at the top as a life and death situation. So there's no motivation because they would, until they raise their vibration, okay, and again, there's not much motivation for them to raise it to the level where they can change their DNA. At the consciousness they're at, there's very little motivation for them to do that. So based on that, very, 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 very few white people have not reached that stage, have not done that type of work on themselves to be able to change that genetic fear, of annihilation, to have reprogrammed that. The average white person you're going to run across has not done that. So they still have that fear. When you're in a relationship to them, they still have it. Okay, just because they're in a relationship with you, that doesn't change anything. It doesn't reprogram their DNA. It doesn't do any of that. So they will carry that and they will project that at you. Okay, and as a black person, you're being projected. And as black people, we're very energetically sensitive. Okay, we're very energetically sensitive on the spiritual level, emotional level, mental level. it's amazing we can function as well as we do with. This is another thing on everything that's occurred. That's another topic. But I'm amazed. So, anyways, um, so when you're in that relationship, your relationship comes first. It's just natural. It just comes first because that's the nature of relationships. So you are in a relationship with somebody who feels like they could be genetically annihilated, and anything that threatens that is going to trigger something. It's going to trigger a fear. It's going to get triggered. And when you're in a relationship with somebody, subconsciously, you know this, and you don't want to trigger that. So if you, as a black person, are in this relationship, you're not going to want to trigger things. And you can see this when you see so many people in interracial relationships that say, oh, race never comes up, and we never talk about it, it never comes up, we're just doing fine. In a system of systematic white supremacy, how can it not come up? Because everything is about race. Everything is about the control and manipulation of society such that black people stay down and white people stay on top. So how could it not come up? How can it not come up that you're constantly being emotionally, mentally, psychologically abused by the societal structure? Because that's the nature, that is the purpose of it, is to keep you down. And the only way to keep you down is to keep this constant abuse. Okay? Abuse on our psychological selves, on our social selves, on our mental selves, on our physical selves, economic selves, all of that. That is the nature of the system. It's when you really sit back and think about it, it's really, I would say, the epitome of a fear-generated system. It's the epitome of a fear-generated system. It's when you sit back and look at it without judging it, you're like, wow. I mean, you know, it's really, and again, this is another topic. So the bottom line is, looking at this, and you as a black person wanting to uplift the black community, and you're with somebody who has been raised, and it's in their genetics, that the only way they can feel safe is to be in control of everything, to be able to control everything about everyone else. That means black people being empowered is a threat because empowered black people cannot be controlled. It becomes an unknown. It becomes extremely threatening at a survival level. So, as a black person who wants to empower their community, they will only be able to go so far because they will run up against the life and death response to their white spouse, and their relationship comes first. And in order to empower the black community, it can't be under the control and manipulation of systematic white supremacy, or it's not empowered. So, for me, from an energetic point of view, when you look at this energetically, a person who is sleeping or in a relationship, whether it's girlfriend, boyfriend, any kind of intimate relationship, with a member of the dominant society, member of the white, a white person, or a person who has embraced white supremacist, systematic white supremacist beliefs, you are not going to take it as far as it needs to go to empower the community. You aren't going to. You aren't going to be able to, because you'll hit that line and you're not going to be able to cross it because that will damage your relationship. And you know that on a subconscious level. So you're only going to talk up to a certain level. You're only going to be able to raise consciousness up to a certain level. You're only going to be able to share things and give clarity up to a certain level. But it won't be the level of change that's required. So based on that for information, you can take it and however you want, but with the understanding from an energetic viewpoint, again, I'm not making anything right or wrong. I'm just saying from an energetic level what can happen and what can't happen. And that's it. So I'd love to hear your responses, or I'd love to hear what you think. So please respond in the comments, and if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.